So I'm always trying to get closer to whoever that is, the funniest version of myself.
How would you compare when you first started to how it is now?
I think maybe some of the race stuff, like I talk about being biracial and my experiences and whatnot. And I did do a Zoom show not too long ago, and this is one of my jokes now, that a lady messaged me, the organizer, and was like, I'm getting a note about the race jokes. Can you tone it down? It's best to keep things neutral. I'm like, bitch, my race is neutral. I can't get any more neutral than this. Like, people paint the interiors of their homes the color of my skin. Like, what do you want from me?
How did you see your material and what you talked about still? What has changed since you started at the beginning to where it's kind of shifted over to?
I think in the beginning,
Christine Little, she's in my hometown, Los Angeles. It's a dreary day, she says. But I want to get into your origin story. So some of your good stuff before we got on, and I'm just piqued my interest, and I want to get into some stuff in particular. It's just fun stuff. But tell us where you're from. Tell us when you first got the notion to do stand-up, and where you performed. Three-part question.
oh, good luck, Christine, remembering all that. But I'm sure you can remind me. I love that you said origin story. It makes me sound like a villain, which I could be. I'm originally from Indiana, around Indianapolis, Indiana area. I'm only telling you this for the story. Like, my parents divorced when I was 4. My dad moved to Missouri. We moved with him, and my mom would come visit. Then we moved back to Indy. So we moved like so many times, just evictions and just changes. Well, shortly after we moved to Missouri and my parents got divorced, my dad got with this other lady and her kids. And so we were moving around a lot because of the evictions that would come from that. And then I lived in Indianapolis, and a strange thing happened. We got evicted. What, Christine? Again? We got evicted, and no place wants to take you if you've been evicted, right? Like, it's not good on your application. So my dad and his sister, she helped us with this scheme to say that she was our landlord and then give us a good reference. So by that time, we had applied to a bunch of different apartments. No one would accept us, but so then we had to start going outside of Indianapolis a little bit. And that's how we wound up in Carmel, Indiana. And Carmel, if you're not familiar with it, it's a very wealthy town. Everybody else in Indiana hates it. They think everyone there is snobby and racist. And they're right. No. What was I going to say about that? It's just like a really rich town. So that was like the only place we could get into by then. So we moved to Carmel, Indiana. And that's where the next part of my life began. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, like, there's like a lot of dichotomy with me. Mom's Black, dad's white, divorced parents, different households, different cities and socioeconomic classes in those cities. So, I mean, you're making a comedian right there.
That's right. All this stuff you're telling me, I'm like, comedy gold. That's great.
Yeah. And it's even crazier than what I'm telling you. I'm just giving you like a condensed version of it, believe it or not.
Brothers and sisters?
I have an older brother, and I had some step siblings.
Okay. All right.
But we lived with them for about 10 years, but it was like during like my formative years. So from like 4 to 14.
So where was the first place you did stand up?
That was one of your questions, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The first place I did stand up, I actually took a class. Yeah, I know. I'm so bad. Greg Dean. Have you heard of Greg Dean?
Was one of my best friends. That's right. He's
no way.
I've known Greg. Yeah, to go back 1988. He was teaching at the Haunted Studios. I started doing stand up off and on since I was 19. When I was 20, I went to
like a year.
What's that?
I said, so like a year.
Yeah. I did stand up when I was 19, but I didn't like. I was one of those guys, and I have been since. Take 3 years, 4 years off, do it again. 3 or 4 years off, do it again. But Greg, I always want to go back to Greg and do his showcases and whenever I was doing stuff on Zoom just several months ago, with him. And we go way back, he and Gayla, and yeah, known him for a long time. And what a great first person to do a class with, and then have a nice little, off ramp from there.
Yeah, so that's basically what happened. I did the class, me and one of my friends, Lisa. She didn't go on to do stand up, although she should have. But so we took his classes and we had a lot of fun. And I think before our big showcase, we like did a mic at like a bowling alley. And it went that good.
This was Greg at a bowling alley?
No, it wasn't Greg. It was some other show before our showcase. It was a mic before our showcase. So we did that.
Where did you do Greg's showcase?
The Comedy Store. His class was in Santa
Monica. Room. Yeah.
Yeah, Belly Room.
Used to do that a lot. Yeah.
And that was my first show. I'm sorry.
That's a great room.
Oh, it was great. It was so fun. Like, it was a great time. Like, I got really high from that. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your journey like from there? So you do with Greg, and then you do the bowling alley gig, and then how often you were going up, once you started taking the class?
Well, I did the bowling alley mic right before the showcase, just to prepare for the showcase.
Okay.
And then from there, from the showcase, someone that was there asked me to do a show for some fundraiser that they were doing. And it was like at a bar, and it was different. It was like, it wasn't like the club, where it was like a contained space and like the laughs bounce off the wall or whatever. So it wasn't this like big uproar of applause of a packed room that I was so used to from the previous show. It was a little different. Mm-hmm. So I did that, and then I would do mics here and there. It was a slow start because no one teaches you like what to do exactly or where to go. I mean, you could do classes and that's great, but at the same time, you need to do mics, or I feel like you need to do mics to get reps, but mainly to meet people. And you're showcasing at these mics as well. Like, people say, and you're finding out more information about other book shows or where to hang out. So I was kind of like a little detective in that sense. I'm like, okay, where do these people seem to know each other? And like, what are they talking about or whatever? And just trying to hang out a little bit. And then I started hanging out at the Comedy Store a few years in. I didn't know people were doing that, but that's like, I don't know what I would call the Comedy Store like a hub. It's like a place where if you don't have a show, you could just go there and hang out, and you'll get booked on a show just from hanging out, or you'll have a really fun hang, or it'll be really awkward and uncomfortable. You never know.
Yeah. That's a great trajectory. That's a great vibe. So how, when you first started, doing this, how often were you going up, and for how long, well, let's start. How often were you going up?
That's a great question. Not very often. Like, I think when the first year, it was probably like once a month or every few months. And we're like, she's a comedian. And I just felt like such a fraud. I'm like, I've done comedy. Like, I know there's more to it than what I'm seeing. Because when you first start, bringer show producers will hit you up. So if you don't know what a bringer show is, I'm sure of course you know what a bringer show is, but for anyone listening, it's a show where the comedians have to bring the audience, and they want you to bring 5 to 10 people. And then it's like you're in the mob or something. They message you. They're like, how many people are you bringing? And you're like, well, a couple people said, well, you got to bring 5 people or you can't go up. And it's like, oh no. And so it messed with my sense of like reality in terms of, it's like, am I getting booked on these shows because I'm bringing people, or am I booked on these shows because I'm funny or whatever? So that's where that's what kept happening. And then I went to a bringer show just to watch of someone else I knew. And there was a producer, Tammy Jo Deeren. You know her?
Mm-mm.
She's been around for a while, but she produces bringer. She was producing bringer shows. And I noticed you could work with her for stage time. So I was like, I'd rather do that than like be stressed out about it. And then a while into it, God, I don't know. This is probably like 3 or 4 years in or something. I don't know. I asked her advice. I'm like, I don't want to do ringer shows anymore. Like, what do I do? She's like, oh, just don't do them anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, if they ask you to do it, just say, hey, I'd love to do the show, but I can't guarantee I can bring anybody because I've got so many shows. But if you don't want to book me, I totally understand. And then from then on, I just didn't do it again. I didn't know it could be that easy. It's like, oh, you just don't do it because
But
I'm so
you still did
used
the
to.
shows. You didn't have to bring people.
Well, I mean, if they would book me on the show after that, but it didn't come up as much. And then I was already starting to get like bookings just from like people I knew and being at other shows or being at Mike's or hanging out. A lot of bar shows for a while, a lot of bar shows. Those are really, I mean, to me, I think they're pretty easy to get on. And yeah, and there's a lot of them because there's a lot of bars.
What was your material like back then? What'd you talk about?
It's the same shit.
What was it? What it looked like? What?
You guess. No, I'm just kidding. No, just about about being. I'm just kidding. I'm silly.
I love it.
About being biracial,
Yeah.
and then I added becoming a homeowner, and just like jobs that I've done, just based on my life experiences and growing up. And I think like my upbringing was a bit chaotic, so I've always been trying to like figure out a way to talk about it that gets that across without people being like, "Are you okay?" You know, or
It seems like you're more sensitive now because back in my day, like a long time ago, you'd be able to talk about things that were like skated the line of riskiness and of like get a little more raw. And it's like, shh, quiet. He's an artist. He can do this, And now it's like it's almost like you have to be careful about what you're even talking about with yourself a little bit. It's like, oh, unless you're vulnerable and you have to placate to the audience. But it's like sometimes you could be a little more raw back in the 90s, let's say.
Oh, I'm sure it was like a totally different level of consciousness back then. It's so like cringe to go back and look at some of the stuff that we laughed at or that was just like normal back then. It'd be like, ugh. That would.
I'm like saying I liked it because it's like you could be more experimental and raw. But like even now, like I don't know, like how would you compare when you first started to how it is now? Would you say?
That's a good. Well, I do want to say too. I think that since there is like a raise in the consciousness, I think it would be weird to like go back and do some of those same things because a lot of it was like now it's hack, but back then maybe it was like groundbreaking or whatever. So,
right.
You just adjust with the times, I guess. But the difference between now and back, like when I started, I would say, that's a great question for me. I think maybe some of the race stuff I did get, like I talk about being biracial and my experiences and whatnot. And I did do a Zoom show not too long ago. And this is one of my jokes now that a lady messaged me, the organizer, and was like, I'm getting a note about the race jokes. Can you tone it down? It's best to keep things neutral. I'm like, bitch, my race is neutral. I can't get any more neutral than this. Like people paint the interiors of their homes the color of my skin. Like, what do you want from me? So something like that, I don't think would have happened before.
Yeah, so it's more sensitive now about to talk about racially charged things as opposed like or just feel it like it's but this is who you are. So are there more roadblocks? There was a time period like that where I don't know if maybe that you could seem like you could talk about more, maybe a chapter ago, then maybe right now there's like, oh, might want to just, you have to close that door and close this door, but you can stay in this lane and you have a great career, you have a good time, but just don't go there. And you could go there maybe a chapter ago.
I don't know if there's anything that like a place I wanted to go a chapter ago that like I did, or like I don't feel like there's much of a difference of a place that I've actually wanted to go. I'm not an edgelord, and I'm only speaking for my experiences. So I think for me, ironically, I think some of the more conservative people may not like some of the things I say because I'm talking about race and they feel like it's divisive. And I can understand that. So yeah, even just talking about certain things. I mean, we've got online comment sections. It's like there's like 2 comments in before it becomes like a race war or a political war or gender war or whatever it is. So I think that's just like seeping into our consciousness now.
Right. I'd love to talk about how did you see your material and what you talked about still, what has changed from the beginning to the end, other than, you're tighter, you see the fastballs coming, they're a little slower. You're able to at this moment, this happens, you're able to do that. That's twitch speed response and reps and all that. But now has your material changed as far as what has changed since you started at the beginning to where it's kind of shifted over to?
I think in the beginning, I think I'm trying to get back to the beginning sometimes because I had like this beginner confidence and just like kind of like naturally who I was, which is like very physical and doing a lot of act outs and characters. And I'm going back to that, but I think that's where I shine the most. And I think sometimes doing all the mics and doing all the shows, it's hard not to compare yourself to other people and think, should I be doing more of that? Or is this what's in? Or what's this? Or what's that? And instead of being like, who is the essence of who I am? So I'm always trying to get closer to whoever that is, the funniest version of myself, which is just me being really silly. And it's like not the most like, oh, wow, did you see what Christine did? She did a little dance after her punchline. It's like, that's just who I am as a person. And so like, I don't have this like, sometimes I have this like critical inner comic that's just always like, I don't know if it's like people from Facebook or something that I see that like, they're always like, comics need to stop doing this. Comics need to stop doing that. It's like, just keep your eyes on your own paper. That's more of like what I'm trying to get to. So I think I want to go back to being more physical and sillier like I was in the beginning. And I'm still those things, but like owning it more, I guess.
Yeah, that's the ultimate, I think, for a comedian. That's the journey of like, like kind of like the Japanese call it consciousness, like you're trying to find the true you that is the funniest part of you, but is just genuine to where you're opening up, and that muscle is used to being opened up so much where you could bring that out so much to where it's not facilitated. It's just flowing. It's you and it's funny. Yeah.
That's like part of being a comedian too. And like why comedian friendships are a little different than like normal friendships because we're so honest and we don't care and we don't judge. We're just like, wow, that's interesting. Go on, like, or like nothing kind of, and I don't know if it's our past trauma or if it's just like hearing so many crazy things that we're like desensitized. But yeah, just being able to say what's on your mind freely, I think is good. And it can be bad when you try to do like a jobby job or something. Like you got to know the room sometimes.
I think there's something in at least I'm almost positive every comedian feels the same way. I feel like it's almost like, look, you have been through, everybody's got their own trauma. Maybe comedians tend to, I'm the poster child of that, to where when something volatility happens or something, we're the least ones to get surprised,
Yeah.
and when somebody says something that other people are like, hey, that's not right. It's like, well, let's just see what's their true intent. Let's just see where they're going with this because we really don't care what they say. We care about what they feel. And I think that's the difference, and with the comedians, because they're like, well, that was funny. And he really didn't say it in ill intent. He said it to make us all laugh. And he wasn't saying it to be me, or she wasn't saying it to be mean. She was saying to say a joke. And I think that's really important and I think comedians all inherently feel that ones that have been around for a long time. Isn't that true?
Yeah. It just was reminded, I just watched Neil Brennan's new special, Crazy Good on Netflix. It's really funny if you haven't seen it, but he was talking about something like that. Like, what was it? People like comedian, like the crazy you are, the funnier you are, something. That's not really what I'm hitting at. There was something else I wanted to talk about. Sorry, I forget sometimes mid sentence.
That's fine.
But something you said reminded me of Neil Brennan's special about like comedians, like why they can't, like if someone's really talented in one area, they lack things in another one. So he's like, I'm really funny, so I'm terrible at relationships, and then he went through like all the different people. He went through some of them. It's like, whoa. But yeah, I don't know. I think that is kind of a trade-off.
He's a left brain dude. He's got his nice own little thumbprint, and he's found out how to put that on stage quite nicely.
Yeah. He was pretty funny, and all of his specials are so different and so unique. I really love that.
What's the craziest thing you've seen in your travels?
The craziest thing I've seen in my travels.
Yeah.
The dog parade.
Outside of, I was actually talking about comedy, but wait, you saw a dog parade? Yeah, I mean, did I see a dog parade at the farmer's market? And I think, don't they do that there, like in the Grove?
It was in Chelan, Washington.
Okay.
It's like a little rich town. It's
I
like
was talking about stand up, like since like for example, what's the mic? I went to a mic where just like several months back when I've stopped doing stand up right now. I'm like on a gestation period, but was that just several months ago? What's the one where you pick the paper out of the jar and you do a subject? What's it called? Tag. Is it tag? It wasn't a tag show, but anyways, I guess some guy thought it was like an interpretive dance of some sort. He went into like the objective, and then after that he just started like rolling around and moaning on the ground. I'm like, I don't think that's the exercise, but I wanted to know. That was one for me that really the organizer. She's like, all right, that was nice, because she was waiting too. Maybe he was going to come out of it, But I'm wondering what have you seen that's really like, oh, that's one for the books, one
like this mic that I go to, I always hear something like really crazy. And there's also been so many things over the years that like it's just all been lumped into like my archives.
Yeah.
So I don't really can't pick it out per se, but I'd say like the most recent was, there's this guy at a mic that I go to who's like this rocker guy from like the 80s. He's like in his 50s or something. And he like every punchline, he's like, wow. And then he like twirls the mic, and then he like, wow, shot of the devil or whatever. I don't know what he's saying, but he finally got me to laugh recently, because I'm just like, what is this? Sometimes it's like, it's so crazy that you just have to laugh, because it's like, what's wrong with this person?
Yeah, you don't know if he's a comedian or maybe he's like part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation or something like that.
Yeah, if he's a comedian or if he's just someone who wandered in off the street. Like, I don't know, with comedy, there are no like barriers. You could come out of prison or whatever and just like go on stage, or not have a house and then go on stage. Like, there's no like
right
gate to entry, I guess. Right. I would say. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
I get it. Yeah.
Barriers to entry.
Anybody could sign up and do an open mic, or or get a gig. It's like, well, I thought he was, and he it happens. So it's not too hard.
There was this guy at the Comedy Store mic I used to go to like a long time ago. I remember they would use the last person up, or last or first person up at the would be someone that was, they would just basically be making fun of, because they didn't do comedy, or it was like so weird that it was just like they're putting them up for fun, because it's supposed to be a lottery, but they can pick people. So if someone has like some crazy stage name, they're like, okay, like what is this going to be? I forget who. I know there was like Boom Shakalaka. I haven't seen him in a while. And then there was someone else. I forget who. It's like some rocker guy. It's always the rocker guys. Probably
those guys are the weird guys.
Yeah.
Where are you at today? What's going on with you right now in your career? What's happening with you, in your life in general and your career? What's happening with you recently?
I started dating my neighbor about 6 months ago, almost 7 months ago, and that's been going well. I'm a homeowner, so it has to work out. And I have a show tonight at the West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica and tomorrow night at West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica. I don't know if you've been there, but it's a fun club. I'm going to be headlining upstairs room at Helium in Indianapolis next weekend. So this time next week, I will be in Indiana. And I plan on recording an album sometime this year, hopefully in the fall. So I'm still working towards that. But yeah.
What are the top five? Real fit, rapid fire. Don't even censor yourself. What are the top five biggest mistakes a new comedian can make?
Ooh, okay. This will be fun. I thought you were gonna say, who are my top 5 comics? I hate that question. I don't know. Me. No. 5 biggest mistakes a new comic can make: being a dick, like being overly like confident and rude to the wrong people, not being a team player. I guess that all goes into like being a dick. Don't do that. Don't look at what other people are doing. Be yourself. What else with new comics? Like actually get on stage, write, work on your stuff. Mistakes. I'm trying to think of mistakes I made. Hang out, like be a little social. I guess it depends on what you want to do and where you want to go with it. If you're just doing it for fun to get out of the house, like cool, whatever, like find a place that is supportive that you like to go to. I guess that would be a mistake that I made sometimes too, like going to places that aren't particularly supportive, because that can really down your spirit, and that's not good for comedy. Like I know for me, it's like sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a challenge. Any comic should be able to perform anywhere, but it's like also you need that like give and take from the audience. You need like that energy and that confidence. And if you're going to a mic to work shit out, you want to be somewhere where like you feel like you can really get that.
Yeah. Is that 5?
Yeah.
All right. Who are your top 5 favorite comedians?
No, I refuse to answer that. Read my rider that I don't have.
I just thought I'd ask that.
That's funny. I will say Brian Regan is one of my favorites.
Really? That's interesting. You know what? He doesn't get enough mentions. That's good.
So funny.
I think that's a great question to ask, actually. Who are your top 5 greatest? I never asked that before. I'm going to ask that now because I think it's fun.
I don't think it's fun because also like it changes a lot. It's a lot of pressure and people are like, oh, they judge you on it or whatever. And then I like always want to make sure I'm remembering everyone. It's a stressful question.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? It's kind of like, you know what I like in it too? I think maybe a lot of guys that like sports, kind of like that question because then they can analyze like, well, what's great about that guy is he really likes to do that. And that's not, I love to Uber out on that kind of stuff.
That's spot on. That is spot on. That is exactly why guys love doing it. And so when they do it to me, like that's like a common date question. Like, who's your favorite comic? First of all, they're like waiting for you to finish so they can say who their favorite people are. And they're like the whole sports thing. And it's like, I don't even watch sports like that.
Yeah, I mean, when I watch comedians, and maybe I'll start asking this question because I actually think it's like a, because you ever I listen to sports shows and like, how do they make that sound so entertaining? And I get it because you talk, it's just a fun subject. But when
I hear sports shows, like the talking of the guys, like, yeah, and then he went up in there, like it sounds like white noise, and it makes me want to go to sleep, even no matter how loud.
And
they're loud. It makes me want to.
It is fun to. I think it is fun to break down. I'm going to mention one comedian who I just recently was watching something, and I was like, you know what, this would be a good Ubered out kind of sports conversation, but with comedians. Marlon Wayans, who is just so fucking great. And I like to break down why I think he's so great. And this is the Uber stuff that I like guys like talking about.
Go on. Okay, I'm listening.
Physical comedy, impressions, comedy timing, his material, his use of the microphone, his use of the crowd work. I mean, I can go on and on. And you could talk about, and then there's levels that you could talk about each one of those. And I just think that's kind of fun stuff.
Okay, you got me there. I think it's interesting, like, say, who's the most interesting comedian or who is like someone's like, you don't laugh as much at their stuff, but like you're so into what they're saying or like something that like is a little spin on it, huh?
See, you're into this too. See, now you're saying now, but who is the most interesting? Yeah.
I like interesting stuff. And I like interesting movies. And I think it's because I consume so much comedy and so many movies and TV that like sometimes I'm like, I don't even need it to be good, but like it is good if it's just interesting to me, if it's just so different, if it just like makes me think about it afterwards. Like it's better than being like, that's the best, because I feel like the best is too general.
Yeah. On that note, as we come to close, I'll just one more observation. I just wondered just now, they make great movies about like baseball, The Natural, and Bang the Drum Slowly, and all these great movies. And even there's some football movies there, boxing movies of all movies, Raging Bull and Rocky, and Someone Up There Likes Me. They tried Punchline, they've tried some others. There's never and
Joker.
well, I mean, with Joker, actually, that was a good movie, but that wasn't about the comedian. It's about
I know, but he was like, wasn't he such a comic? Like, wouldn't you just see this dude at a mic and be like, get your life together? Like, I was like, this is pretty real.
Yeah, yes, that's so true. Yes. I actually, you know what? Now that you mention that, I guess of Joker, it's not a movie about comedians, although he does do comedy in it. It's probably the best movie with a comedian. It's like they haven't made a good movie about a comedian. I'm not talking about like the Dustin Hoffman, with Lenny Bruce. Lenny. I'm talking about I guess you
behind the scenes, like what it's really like.
It was funny. That's also hard to be funny. That's tough.
There was funny people, but I want something that's like super accurate, like something that's like, yeah, that's the journey, like the weird mind, like. And then there's like Pete Holmes' show, but then it's like he like rose to stardom immediately, and I'm like,
the shows there are some shows. They're pretty damn good, but I think that maybe there's this, I forgot his name. He does a spot on Robin Williams, and he looks like Robin Williams. He does other impressions as well. It was going viral like a year and a half ago on social because he's just like the best younger guy, best like Robin Williams impression you've ever seen in the whole life. It's like, it's sick. And he actually did do a short film where he's getting ready to go on to do Mork and Mindy for the first time, but as Robin Williams. It looks just like Robin Williams. And then Pam Dauber comes on there and as the fake, not real Pam Dauber, but like, the actors, playing her role.
That's different.
Maybe that'll be like the first Raging Bull of stand-up comedian. I digress. You seem like a real good comedians that you can have a nice Uber conversation about this kind of stuff. So tell everybody how they can find out more.
I like Lyft conversations better.
Lyft conversations?
Yeah.
Lyft or lived?
Lyft.
Like in the car? Like live like not Uber conversations, Lyft.
There we go.
Yeah, that just told me so much about you. Right there. You know what that told me about you? That told me you don't like mainstream. That's it. You're like, you're not going to say Uber. Fuck those guys. I'm not giving them any kind of credence. I'm going with Lyft, not Coke. No, Pepsi.
I was a Pepsi girl. Yeah, I'm a 4 on the Enneagram. I think that has something to do with it, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
So what was your question? Like what?
How they can find out more about you. We're coming to a close.
Huh?
We're coming to a close. You got to get up.
Okay, yes. I would love for you guys to find out more about me. I'm on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, or X or whatever, at the XTINE little, like the X teen, like Christine, but X teen little. And yeah, I have a newsletter. There's like a little way on my bio. If you click the link in my bio, you can sign up to get show updates when I'm in your area. And I'd like to do dance videos on social media, so you can check that out too.
Nice. I love those dance videos, by the way. Do you do any on TikTok? Are you able to do, I don't know what it's called. I used to be a Rick dancer in the 80s. But I mean, are you able to do, what are they like really elaborate, like the dancing?
No, I'm not doing like choreography. I'm just doing stuff I make up on the spot for about 7 seconds.
Oh, okay. I envy those people that
the real stuff you don't see on TikTok.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Christine Little, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. This was really fun. You got a great podcast here.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Gear up for your next adventure and head over to bolotour.com to check out the amazing Bolo Pack and their other innovative outdoor gear. Catch you next time.